Hello and welcome to another edition of Sit Down with the Director. I'm Robin Phillips and we're here again today with our Director of Schools, Bobby Cox. Bobby?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Doing great.
Great spring day.
It is, very nice.
Lots going on.
Yeah, almost Good Friday, so we're nice sunny day today.
Yes, and in the fourth quarter. So we're getting toward the end of school. Everybody's getting ready to have a little spring fever and get ready out for the summer.
That's right. That's right.
But we also have some really big things that we're working on for next year. And one of those things that's really exciting for our high school is the new academies that we're going to have next year, that we're going to start, I guess, phasing in beginning next year.
Right.
So I'm sure everybody would like to hear a little bit more about that. If you could share with us a little bit about the academies.
Well, that's a new concept, the academy model. We've been discussing how we can make some change at our high school and provide more in-depth instruction for students, provide more focused instruction for students so that they can actually get a little bit deeper into their chosen skill or profession or explore things that they may want to study in college. So it's part of our strategic plan. We've had community members, business folks involved in a committee. That's one of the 7 items of our strategic plan. And we've come up with the academies that we will be looking at for the next year, which is the Freshman Academy. And then we'll try to branch out into the other academies in the next 4 years. So some of the academies are the Engineering and Law Academy, the Business and Education Academy, the Biological Sciences Academy, and Automotive and Structural Technology Academy. And then within those, there are pathways within each academy where students can choose the pathway of study that they have.
Okay. So I think the general idea of the academies is to not only primarily maybe to help them hone in on something they might be interested in as a career or as future study for secondary, but also to maybe make that group a little bit smaller within the school. So they would be really 5 schools within one school.
Exactly.
And they would primarily stay with those students. Of course, I guess all the freshmen are together.
All the freshmen will be together.
And then after that, they would decide which academy they would like to be in. And there's some sort of a process to choose so that everybody doesn't pick the same one.
Right.
But they would then be with that group for the next 3 years. Is that right?
Exactly. And the teachers should stay with that academy as well. So the teachers will get to know the students. Students can get more in depth into their coursework. Hopefully they'll get to take more electives. So it should be a good change, and it's something that I think's been needed for several years, and I think it'll be a good change for us.
So it sounds great, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, so what they would do is like their English teacher starting in the 10th grade would teach 10th grade English, but then that same teacher would also teach them 11th grade and 12th grade, right? And so the math, though it would change, the type of math, that same teacher would sort of be teaching that within, obviously within their certification. But they would, in that way, they can also sort of coordinate the math with what they're studying in their interest area, right?
And that's the goal right now. Now, whether we can add the number of positions that we need to do that, that could take us a year or so to get going. But that's the primary focus right now, is to keep that core group, that academy together. There'll be one principal per academy, different pathways of studies, but those teachers would be able to interact with those students. And on the academic side, provide lessons that are more career-oriented to that pathway, less time than the actual field of study. If it's in a structural technology or construction core, then they may be learning math that's related to construction. So that's kind of the focus and the idea.
To sort of bring that all together for them within what's relevant to them.
Exactly.
So, and I think when we were talking about this before, that something was mentioned about rigor, relevance, and relationship. So this sort of hits all 3 of those, I guess, because the rigor will be there, but then also what's relevant, they're obviously going to be what's relevant to them, and maybe based on what we've picked as being the academies, what's good for our kids. I think, did we choose the academies sort of based on some survey information too as to what we thought might be interesting and relevant to the kids?
Well, we did. We did some surveys of the students and also from our strategic planning group. But over the next year, we'll be also surveying the community and the jobs that are out there to make sure our academies match up with what jobs are relevant and out there. So those may change, but that's where they're at right now.
Okay. And then obviously with the smaller unit, they would get more relationships also, not only among those students, but also with staff and their teachers.
That's the goal.
It sounds great. I think, and this has happened in some other school districts around very successfully.
Right. Well, Nashville has been on that model for several years, and we toured several of their schools. Chattanooga has done this, bigger urban areas, Atlanta, some of the, again, larger school districts. This is the first one I know of in a rural setting, but I think we're large enough yet, also have that hometown, feel enough about medium size that we'll be able to do this. So.
Right. And it would be nice because since we only have one high school, we can sort of coordinate that and get that working well rather than trying to do it in 2 or 3 places at the same time.
Right. And kind of build it as we need to.
Okay. Well, that is very exciting news, and I'm sure there is some more information on those academies out there. I know the newspaper did an article on it, and then our website has that as well.
Yeah, we'll be up getting that information up very soon. We want to get some information out to the schools and the parents first, and then we'll probably start producing that on our website as well as documents that parents can take home with them as well.
And I think you also are we doing some meetings with those upcoming 9th graders and parents so that they'll understand, because they'll be the guinea pigs, so to speak. They'll get to be the first ones that would graduate all the way through in the academies, right?
Right, and we had a meeting at the high school 2 different times a couple of weeks ago, but now we're actually scheduling with the principal to go out to the school, each of the schools in the middle school, to invite parents to come out and us to have much like a town hall meeting, I guess, if you will.
Okay, and I think that even we talked about the fact that they will be able on that freshman academy to get information about the other academies so that they can have information on which one they might want to choose for that. And if parents will get that too.
Sure, and if they get into an academy in their sophomore year and decide they want to change, they'll have the ability to do that one time, but after that, then they have to stay with it because that is a program of study that they have to have a certain number of courses to graduate with.
Okay, and along with that, we're going to block schedule next year as a part of that.
Right.
So could you explain a little bit about what that is and how that might affect number of courses and hours?
Yeah, right now we have 57-minute classes. The blocks will be 85-minute classes, but there'll be an A-B block. So one day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday in a week, you'll be on A day, and then Tuesday, Thursday, you'll be on B day. So there's different classes on those days, so it allows you to take more classes. Instead of 6, you'll actually be taking 8. So you'll get 10 more classes in a 4-year period, so that you'll have opportunity for 32 credits instead of 22 credits. And then the hour lunch, you're not doing the hour lunch anymore. There'll be 4 30-minute lunches, so it'll be better for supervision. And then we've gathered some more instructional time that way too. Okay.
So they'll basically be taking 2 morning classes and 2 afternoon classes, depending on where lunch falls.
Right.
And then that'll skip a day, and so they'd have 2 days to get their homework for that class, which is an advantage. I think a lot of people like that. But then it wouldn't necessarily always be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It would switch.
The next week it'll flip-flop.
So don't try to schedule all of your classes you don't like on Friday, because you're going to get off on Fridays a lot. So that's not a good thing. That won't work out.
It'll alternate weeks, so it'll all work out. It'll be equal.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Equitable and equal.
Equitable and equal.
Yes, okay. Okay, so that's a great update on that. So we also just got through with kindergarten screening, and we have some numbers to report on that, and basically let folks know if they haven't hit that yet, what they need to do. And what they need to do to get their child in school.
Right, right. Well, if you didn't go to kindergarten screening, then obviously on registration day, you'll need to come to the school and you'll have to register and go through the screening process at that point in time, or at least within the first week as we phase kindergarten students in. So I think we had 364 kindergarten students go through screening, and that's also in private schools that we don't jurisdict, but we try to be good community partners and screen those students through that screening as well. Had 208 pre-K students that went through. So we're asking for another pre-K class through our pre-K grant. We don't know if we'll get that or not, but that would allow us to have 200 students or 180 students, I believe, for pre-K. So hopefully we'll get that class and then be able to accommodate as many as we can. So that will be something we'll learn over the next few weeks.
Okay. So we got through pre-K screening and K screening, and now the next step for those parents who have done that is there will be a meeting. This will be the first time we've done that, but to give them some information on things that would help their child over the summer to be prepared for kindergarten come the fall.
Right. And that's May 15th at Warren County High School in the auditorium from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. And it'll be an information meeting for parents who have incoming kindergartners. So hopefully we'll get a lot of parent participation there. We'll be sending more information out closer to time. But first time we've ever done a meeting like this, but we would like to have everybody come out, especially the parents, and so they'll know what to expect on the first day of school and how to navigate traffic if they've never navigated traffic on the first day of school, and what to help their child with. And it'll be a good orientation, I guess you'd say, to the school system.
Yes, and then those same parents will be back, I guess, 12 years later,
Hopefully,
or 13 years later, to in the same auditorium talking about graduation from high school.
Well, we certainly hope so.
There you go. Okay, so those are two things that we needed to tell about next year, but we still have a little bit left for this year. And one, I guess, the thing that most everybody has not looked forward to, but it is upon us, is testing.
Right, all right.
So could you tell everyone a little bit about what to expect with that and what our dates are this year?
Well, testing will begin April the 17th after Good Friday and the break, long weekend. We'll come back. And April 17th is the first day of testing. Some schools are testing that day, some schools aren't. They have a testing window, I think, that runs through May the 5th for everyone to test in. So that will be all testing, high school and elementary. So we want to encourage everybody to support your students on that day, make sure they're at school, make sure they get a good breakfast, they get enough rest that night. Because these tests are very important, not only to showcase what the students learned, but also for us as an accountability measure for our school system. So we want to encourage everybody to really take that seriously on those days, to do their best, and to make sure they're well rested and ready to go on those days.
Ready to shine.
Ready to shine.
Okay.
Show what we've learned.
That's right. Okay, so I think we probably have one more announcement, if people haven't already heard, that we need to make sure people know about, and that is the shortened school calendar for students.
Right, right.
I guess I'll let you explain that.
Okay. Well, we've didn't use all of our weather days this year, and we had 6 left over. So we asked the commissioner, Candace McQueen, and our board if we could convert 2 of those days, May 23rd and May 24th, as non-student days for professional development in the buildings for staff. So they granted that request. So on May 23rd and May 24th, no students will attend. Teachers will have to work that day. Doesn't do anything to the calendar as far as the end of school. Report cards will still be picked up on May 25th, be an abbreviated day. And then graduation at the high school will be May 26th on that Friday evening. So it's just converting those 2 days from student days, so students get out a couple of days early this year, but that's not an every year thing. It's just we had an abundance of snow days left over this year that we could use for that.
And we do have a lot of things going on for next year that I think we were anxious to go ahead and get started on. The academies being one, and maybe some new standards that we decided it would be helpful for everybody if
Sure.
students had teachers had a few
Yeah.
extra hours to maybe train on some of that stuff to get ready to start again next year.
Exactly. Get a head start.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, thank you for sharing all this
Sure.
information, and thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.